Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to do something quite a bit different for you here on the channel. This is going to be my first ever beer review from Croatia. I've never even reviewed one of the big beers from Croatia like Karlovačko or something like this, but for this one we have one of the craft beers which I was really lucky to find. So for this one we're going to go to Zagreb and we're having a taste of a beer from the Garden Brewery, and this one is the New England IPA number 2, which is part of a series they're doing, and they're just playing around with different hops and malts and things within this New England style of beer, which is pretty cool actually. Normally when you see new countries kind of coming into the craft beer market, they'll stick to like German styles initially, or just regular IPAs and stuff like this. So it is cool to see quite a new brewery going for it and trying the New England IPAs and things as well. But as I say, I really don't know that much about the craft beer scene in Croatia at the moment. It is very, very new. I know there's some exciting things going on over the border in Slovenia, but there's some really great stuff, and it is always cool to try beers from different countries like I was saying. So if you are watching from Croatia, do please get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries and things like that I should check out. It's always cool to try beers from different places, and I do still need to go and visit Croatia at some point as well. But anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews that hopefully I can do from the Garden Brewery. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, like I said. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Croatian beers that I've reviewed for you. That's going to be added to hopefully over the next little while. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review, especially if you're watching from Croatia. Like I say, I know very little about the craft beer scene there, so it would be great to learn some. But as always, thank you for watching my beer reviews, and it's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos. So anyway, a little bit about the Garden Brewery then before we taste the beer. So as I mentioned to you earlier, the Garden Brewery are based in Zagreb in Croatia, and it was founded by Nick Colgan and David Plant, who I believe are both from England. So Nick is originally from Birmingham, and he's a music promoter who's worked all over the world. Apparently he's been responsible for some of these massive kind of celebrity boat parties and things like this over in California and America. But back in 2006 he visited Tisno on the coast, on the Dalmatia coast of Croatia, and he's really been quite instrumental in helping the area make its name as a music festival destination. But all of these festivals that they have there are quite small and quite intimate, and that apparently is the way that they want to keep it. But while organising the event one year, Nick complained to David that they had to sell one of the big brands of beer. It didn't say in the article exactly what one it was, but I suspect it was the likes of Karlovačko or something like this. But then David suggested that they started producing their own beer to have something a bit better, and really it just took off from there. So the brewery were the first in Croatia to make their beers available in cans, and they've had great success in doing it, and of course they are starting to export their beers now. So in 2016 they began exporting their beers to Germany, and these have spread to different countries throughout Europe since. But the brewery itself is located in the southeastern part of Zagreb, but the guys also own the Garden Resort in Tisno on the Dalmatia coast, Barbarella's Discotheque, which is in Pirovac, not too far away from Tisno, and they also own the Garden Lounge in Zadar, which is up on the northern part of the Dalmatia coast, not too far away from Slovenia. But they also recruited Nick Calder-Scholes as their head brewer from 4 Pure in London, and he's been experimenting with various different beers. If you check out the rate beer profile, I think they've produced somewhere along the lines of 50 different beers, so they are quite prolific, and that is really cool as well to see pardon me, a new country that's coming along and being so experimental with their craft beers and stuff like that. So it is, as I always say, cool to try beers from different places. And like I say, this is the very first Croatian beer I believe that I've ever tried. I've never even tried Karlovačko. I have seen it in shops and things, but I've never ever tried a Croatian beer before. So I really am looking forward to this one. And like I always say, it is cool to see the craft beer bug spreading to different countries. And Croatia is meant to be a really beautiful place, so hopefully I can go and visit it at some point soon. But that's all you need to know about the brewery just now. As I always say, check out the links and stuff in the description below. In their brewery in Zagreb, they do have a tasting room where you can go along and eat food and try all the different beers as well. So I do recommend that you check that out if you get the chance. But anyway, let's get on to the tasting of this beer itself. So yeah, this one comes in at 6.9% ABV, New England IPA number 2, like I was saying. The hops in this one are quite interesting. There was quite a few of them that I'd never heard of. First off though, the malt base is Maris Otter, pale, torrefied wheats, oats, golden naked oats, and then the hops in this one are Australian 35, which is an experimental variety. I took some notes on these. This one apparently gives you some passion fruit and peachy notes. You also have Hull, which is a German hop, and that was developed at the Hop Research Institute over there. That apparently gives kind of melony and strawberry kind of flavours. flavours, and also the Belma was one that I'd never heard of as well. So this one comes from Yakima Valley and apparently gives oranges and melons, strawberry and pineapple and things like that. So quite a fruit bowl out of this one. But the other hops in this beer are Galaxy and Citra, which are of course pretty well known. Galaxy from Australia, which gives you kind of passion fruit. And then Citra, of course, is a really famous one that gives you kind of mangoes and stuff like that. But it says on here, 6.9% ABV, unfiltered, New England style IPA. So without further ado then, let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting. There's a little quick look at the artwork on this one for you. I'm just checking on the camera that you're seeing that. You can pause it and have a little closer look if you want. But let's get it out and see how we get on. Really excited to try my first beer from Croatia. It's always cool to do things like this, and it's always cool to be able to review beers like this on the channel. And it did say just before that I should invert the can, and I did that just before I actually started filming the review. So yeah, as you can see, and I can just look at the can and see there's not too much sediment or anything like that left in the bottom of the thing, but they always will want you to make the beer properly hazy to get all the different flavours. But yeah, as you can see, this beer's poured a really nice, kind of bright, pardon me, almost blood orange colour actually. There's a real fruit bowl of notes coming off this just as I move the glass around, so we'll take a closer look at the aroma in a minute. But in terms of the colour, this beer is a solid kind of blood orange colour. There's one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there. But overall, you know, it does actually look pretty nice and pretty much what you would expect from a New England IPA, although maybe not quite as hazy as some of the ones that I've come across before. There's a solid half finger of quite a bubbly white head on this one. It has died down a little bit since we got it out, but yeah, no, it does look pretty good actually. It does look pretty nice and pretty much what you would expect from a New England IPA. So let's have a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. To be honest with you, it does just smell like a big kind of fruity juice bomb. You can pick out the melons in this one, which will be from the Hull and from the Belma as well. You really can pick out melon on this one. Normally, a more local hop to these guys would have been the Styrian Wolf, but as I've told you in my Slovenian beer reviews, which I've done quite a few of, thank you to Davor of course for that, as I've done with these Slovenian reviews, the Styrian Wolf is a really difficult hop to get a hold of just because it's not produced in all that much volume, simply for the fact that Slovenia is quite a small geographical country. Which is a shame because some of the hops they are producing, like Salaya and everything like this, they've got some cracking hops in Slovenia. So it's a shame that they're not produced on a bigger scale. But yeah, with this one, melons, you can smell a bit of passion fruit in there. There's a good bit of orangey character. It's actually quite an orangey, an oily orange that's coming out of this one. It's almost a little bit like Amarillo actually, which is quite interesting. On the back end you can smell a little bit of that it's almost like a candied red fruit that's coming off this one from the strawberries actually. It reminds me of those little heart-shaped sweets you get in the Haribo Star Mix. It reminds me of that. But yeah, passion fruits definitely. There is passion fruit in this one, which will be the Galaxy coming out. And you can smell the mangoes as well. The Galaxy and the mango, the Galaxy and the Citra, sorry, in this one are quite obvious, but the other ones, of course, as I mentioned, I've not really encountered these hops before, so it's always an opportunity to kind of educate yourself when it comes to beer tasting. If you've got new hops, take a little bit of time and just get used to the aroma and the flavours of them as well. Just think about it a little bit. It's always a good educational experience. But yeah, with this one, definitely mangoes in there, definitely a little bit of melon as well, some kind of strawberries. There's a wee bit of an almost kind of pineapple-y, papaya sort of thing too, but the oranges are coming out really nicely as well. So it is really interesting. It's a really interesting combination of fruit that's coming out of that. But underneath, I can actually smell it, by the way. I do have a little bit of a blocked nostril in one, but I can actually smell this beer quite well in the other. But yeah, with this one, there's a nice sort of biscuity malt base to it, a little bit of a kind of bready, oaty kind of thing as well. The Maris Otter malts that they've put in this one will give you a nice sort of bready character to it, the English malts. But then you can smell these nice kind of wheaty and oaty characters coming out of it as well. So as I always say, just take a little bit of time to enjoy the aroma of your beer before you get stuck into it. But let's have a taste of this one now. So this one is the New England IPA number 2 from the Garden Brewery in Zagreb over in Croatia. My first time ever trying a Croatian beer. Let's get stuck in. Slanje, ska. Yeah, that's pretty good actually. It's definitely got a bit of a different feel to it than some of the other New England IPAs that I've had before. But you know, on the basis of the first taste, I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this beer again. It'd be nice to have a pint of this and just kind of sit in the sun and enjoy it, which is probably what a lot of these Croatian beers are about. because it's a really hot country normally. Yeah, that's really nice. I just like how everything goes together quite well, and it is actually really quite forward on the hops, which is quite nice. And what's interesting about that is, when I was trying the Slovenian beers, they always leaned a little bit more towards the juicy kind of fruity side of things. They did have that little bit of a juicy edge to them. This one goes kind of straight out for the more hoppy bitterness, which is quite interesting. So in the back corners of your palate, there's a little tiny bit of earthiness there, but as you come forward along the sides of your palate, there's a nice sort of floral aromatic bitterness there. There's almost a little bit of pine resin, but as you go round the front curve of the palate, that's where you're getting a little bit of that lighter kind of grassy note. But all the different flavours in this beer just go together really quite well. And the mouthfeel is great as well, actually. I really like how it comes across. But yeah, with this one, if you just go behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you'll get that nice little oily bubble where these juicy fruity notes start to come out the beer. You can definitely pick up the passion fruit in there. There's almost a little tiny bit of grapefruit just underpinning it, but really it's more of a juicy passion fruit and kind of mango sort of thing. I actually am getting quite a bit of an oily orange out of this, and as the flavour progresses, that's when you start to get a little bit of some of the other kind of things out of this. That's when you start to get a little bit of the melon and things. There's definitely some melon in there, and there's almost a little bit of a kind of gooseberry note, I think, coming out of the Citra as well. As I always say, the Citra hop gives you a little bit of a gooseberry kind of light cheese flavour in the aftertaste, and you can pick that up a little bit in this beer. You've seen how long it was since I took a sip of it. But as you go through this, you definitely do get some of those kind of Citra complexities pushing their way out a little bit, which is really, really nice. The Galaxy, of course, as well will give you a little bit of that. You get a little bit of an almost kind of pineapple-y and peachy sort of thing in there as well. The fruit blend in this is just really quite unusual, but I do like the melons. The melons remind me a lot of that Styrian Wolf hop, which is really awesome. I really love that. And there is a wee bit of a kind of candied red fruit to it as well, which mixes well with the lychees and gooseberries and things that you'll get from the Citra. Pardon me. This is why I need a beer to moisten up my throat. But yeah, with this one, I just like how everything goes together. The malt base is quite reserved in this compared to the hops, and that's really cool actually. As I say, my first ever Croatian beer, and to come across one that is quite as hoppy as this is pretty damn good actually. So the malt base in this one, I would say it does have a little bit of an English ale category to quality to it, sorry, which is quite interesting. So you can feel a little bit of that white bready character, and there's a little bit of that almost graininess which comes from the Maris Otter malt. But on top of that, right in the middle of your palate, there's a little bit of a biscuity note, but as the flavour kind of mellows out a little bit, that's when you start to get the smoother characteristics of the wheat and a little bit of the oaty character coming out as well. I do like that, as I always see, even with black IPAs and West Coast IPAs and stuff like that, if you can balance out your malt base properly and just have a little bit of a caramelly or biscuity sweetness to it, it gives the beer so much more than just being straight up pale malt. That's one of the things I'll always say about these different beers. The yeast, of course, does have a big effect on it as well. It did say on the can rather what yeast it was in this, so it was WLP 4000 yeast that they've used in that one, so that will have a little bit of an effect on the flavours that you'll get from the malt base. But the malt base in this one is it's quite unique and quite interesting. I do like how they've combined a little bit of that English breadiness with the sort of wheaty and oaty characteristics as well, and the yeast will probably be giving you a little bit of that as well. And then there's some biscuity, and I don't think it's quite as strong as caramel, but there's definitely a little bit of a kind of biscuity sweetness coming out of this beer. But this one, for me, there's a good hoppy blast from it, there's a good nice bit of juicy fruit, but the malt base gives you a little bit more complexity as well, and I always like it when beers do that. So a big thumbs up to the Garden Brewery for this one, and I really do hope that I can try some more of their beers. I got the last can at the shop of this that I came across, so hopefully I do see their beers somewhere else at some point in the future, because it'd be cool to try some of their darker beers and things like this. But yeah, really nice beer this one, so if you get the chance to try it, I recommend that you do. And it's lovely, just it does become a little bit more juicy as the flavour mellows out. So in terms of the mouthfeel of this one then, I'd say it's mid-bodied. Carbonation is it's pretty smooth on this one. It's actually got a really quite oily mouthfeel. It's a little bit oilier than some New England IPAs that I've come across before. There's a good bit of hoppy bitterness to it. The fruit, as I said in this one, the combination of fruit flavours that you've got is quite a unique point about it. And then the malt base has a nice kind of sweetness to it as well. But overall, it's a really cracking kind of introduction to Croatian craft beers for me. So I hope the other breweries are kind of doing the same sort of thing, because it's really cool, as I always say, to try different beers from different countries. And one of the things that really fascinates me about Eastern Europe and things like that, when you've got countries like Croatia and Slovenia, obviously their currencies, for example, don't have the same sort of purchasing power that the Western European currencies have, like the Scandinavian crowns, the pound, and the euro and things like this. It is interesting that you can actually still get craft beer breweries taking hold, despite the prices of the ingredients being the same regardless of what country you buy it. It's really cool that people are still willing to pay more, and probably more relative to their wages in Eastern Europe, to drink better beer. That's one of the things I think is really cool. If you go to Poland, for example, you've got a really thriving craft beer scene, but their wages are quite substantially lower than the likes of Germany and things. So it is cool to see that that's taking hold in other countries as well. And Slovenia is another example who are producing some really good beers these days. So I'm sure Croatia, if it's not already, as I say, I don't know, I'm sure they will start to follow suit. So a little bit of an economic point to think about with these Eastern European beers. But this one certainly has impressed me, and I do hope I can try some more of the beers from the Garden Brewery as well. So yeah, it's been really cool to do my first Croatian craft beer review for you here on the channel. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. So until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from this brewery. Do please let me know some of the other Croatian craft breweries that I should check out, because I would love to have a look at those, and hopefully I can go and visit the beautiful country at some point in the fairly near future. But it's been really cool to review this one. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual stuff. Check out my social media, and I will catch you guys very soon. So this was the New England IPA number 2 from Zagreb in Croatia, my first ever Croatian beer tasting, and my first ever review for you here on the channel. So until the next time, it's Slanger just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Cheers.